All right, cosmic adventurers, are you ready for this? Today we're diving deep into something I know a lot of you are interested in, and that is how to really deepen your spiritual practice.
Mhm.
And guess what? The secret might be written in the stars, or well, at least in your zodiac sign, right?
Haha, right.
We are exploring an article from the Spiritual Seek. You know, those folks who always seem to have their finger on the pulse of what's going on, in our souls. So
Yes.
this one's called The Most Spiritual Zodiac Signs and Their Peculiarities. And trust me, it's those peculiarities that make things really interesting.
Oh, absolutely. It's like they've tapped into this ancient wisdom that explains why some signs just seem to be, naturally connected to something bigger than themselves.
Exactly. And they actually identify the top 3 most spiritual signs: Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But before we, dive into those specifically, they lay out this fascinating framework based on the elements: fire, earth, air, and water,
Mm-hmm.
and how each of those elements influences our spiritual inclinations.
Mm-hmm. I think what's so fascinating here is that it's not just about, which element your sun sign is in. It's like each element represents a different path, a different way of interacting with the world. And by extension, a different way of interacting with, the spiritual realm.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Can you give us some concrete examples of how that might play out? Like, say, for someone with a lot of fire in their chart, how would that manifest in their spiritual life?
Okay, well, think about the qualities of fire. It's passionate, it's energetic, it's transformative. So for those with that strong fire energy, like your Aries, Leo, Sagittarians, their spiritual journeys are often about, embracing that dynamism. They might find themselves drawn to practices that involve movement, like certain types of yoga, maybe even martial arts, anything that kind of lets them channel that fire energy outward.
So it's like they're literally embodying
Yeah.
that element in their practice. That's so cool. What about earth signs then? Those grounded earth signs, how would their approach to spirituality be different?
Well, Earth is all about stability, connection to nature, the tangible world. So Earth signs Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. They often find a sense of the sacred in the physical realm. Think gardening, hiking, even something like feng shui, which is about, harmonizing your environment. For them, it's about finding that spiritual grounding through their senses, through their connection to the earth itself.
It's almost like their spirituality is rooted in the here and now, in the beauty of the natural world. Okay, I'm starting to see how this all works. What about air signs? They're thinkers, the communicators. Where do they fit into all of this?
Air is all about intellect, communication, the exchange of ideas. So for your air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, their spiritual journey is often about expanding their minds and connecting with others on this deeper level. They might be drawn to practices like journaling for clarity or engaging in philosophical discussions. For Aquarians especially, maybe even getting involved in activism for causes that align with their values.
Yeah, it's like their minds become the vehicles for their spiritual growth, constantly questioning, analyzing, seeking new perspectives.
Fascinating. All right, last but not least, we've got the water signs. We all know they're the feelers, the intuitives. But how does that actually translate into a spiritual practice?
Well, water is all about depth, emotion, intuition. It flows, it adapts, it goes deep. So for water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, their spiritual journeys are often about exploring those unseen realms.
Yeah.
Within themselves, they might be drawn to practices like meditation, energy work, anything that allows them to connect with, like that subtle energy that flows through all things.
Okay, so we've got this great foundation now, this understanding of how the elements shape our spiritual approach. But the Spiritual Seek, they didn't stop there. They went on to identify those top 3 most spiritual signs, and each one is just so fascinating. So first up, we have Pisces, those mystical dreamers. What is it about Pisces that makes them so naturally attuned to the spiritual realm? Well, think about this. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So it's like they've absorbed the energy of all the signs that came before, giving them this incredibly deep, almost otherworldly perspective. And they're ruled by Neptune, the planet of dreams and illusions. So for them, that line between reality and fantasy can be, pretty blurred. They're the artists, the poets, the musicians, always tapping into that, wellspring of creativity and emotion. And because of this, they often have this profound connection to the universe, this innate ability to tap into things that others might miss.
I'm getting this image of them swimming in a cosmic ocean, just absorbing all this energy and insights. But I imagine that could also be really overwhelming at times.
Right.
Especially in a world that doesn't always value that kind of sensitivity.
Yeah, that's the paradox of being a Pisces, right? They feel everything so deeply, which can be both, a gift and a challenge. They need to learn how to ground themselves, to set boundaries, to protect their energy. Otherwise, they can get easily swept away by the emotions of others.
So it's not just about being dreamy and intuitive. There's a real strength and resilience that Pisces have to cultivate to, actually
Right.
navigate the world.
Exactly. And that's part of their spiritual journey, learning to harness that sensitivity, to use it as a source of power, rather than letting it overwhelm them.
Okay, that's such a powerful insight. I'm starting to see how understanding these nuances
Mm-hmm.
can help us all approach our own spiritual practice
Mm.
a more like intentional way.
Mhm.
Okay, but up next we have Scorpio, the intense transformers. I mean, the name itself is intriguing. What makes them so intense?
Yeah.
And how does that tie into their spirituality?
Well, Scorpios are deep, they're passionate, incredibly perceptive. They have this uncanny ability to see through the surface, to
Mhm.
understand the, hidden motivations and desires of others. They're ruled by Pluto, the planet of transformation.
Mm.
So they're constantly evolving, shedding old skins, and embracing change. And that process of transformation is deeply intertwined with their spiritual journey.
I'm getting this image of them as like alchemists, constantly transmuting their experiences into something new and powerful.
Yeah.
But I imagine that intensity can also be a bit of a double-edged sword.
Oh, absolutely. Scorpios have this tendency to go to extremes. They can be incredibly passionate and devoted, but also possessive and, even vengeful if their trust is betrayed. So their spiritual journey is often about learning to channel that intensity into something constructive, to use it as a force for good rather than letting it consume them.
So it's like they have this raw power within them that needs to be harnessed and directed.
Exactly. And that's where their spiritual practice comes in. It helps them to understand themselves on this deeper level,
Mhm.
to master their emotions, and to use their power wisely.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. It's not just about having these natural spiritual inclinations, is it? It's about the work that we do to cultivate them, to, integrate them into our lives in a healthy and balanced way.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we're all given these gifts, these unique potentials, but it's up to us to refine them, to make them our own.
All right, last but certainly not least, we have Cancer, the nurturing intuitives. Now, I may have a soft spot for Cancers. I don't know, maybe because I am one. But I've always felt like they have this incredible depth of compassion and empathy. How does that manifest in their spiritual lives?
Well, Cancers are ruled by the moon, which governs our emotions and intuition. They're incredibly sensitive, deeply in tune with their own feelings and the feelings of those around them. And because of this, they often have this strong connection to the spiritual realm, this innate ability to sense the subtle energies that flow through all things.
I've always felt like Cancers have this like old soul energy.
Yeah.
Like they've carried wisdom and compassion with them through many lifetimes.
There's definitely a sense of that. And because they're so nurturing and empathetic, they often find their spiritual path through acts of service, through creating safe and loving spaces for themselves and others.
But with that sensitivity also comes the need for strong boundaries,
Yeah.
right? Otherwise, they could easily get overwhelmed by, the emotional needs of others.
Absolutely. For Cancers, self-care is not a luxury. It's a necessity. They need to learn to protect their energy, to replenish their emotional reserves, so they can continue to give without, depleting themselves.
So it's like their spiritual practice is also about learning to balance that giving energy with receiving, with nurturing themselves as much as they nurture others.
Exactly. It's about finding that equilibrium, that sweet spot,
Yeah.
where they can express their compassion and empathy without sacrificing their own well-being.
Wow. I'm already feeling like I have a much deeper understanding
Yeah.
of these three signs and,
Yeah.
the challenges and the opportunities they face on their spiritual journeys.
And remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We've only just begun to explore this, like a fascinating connection between, the zodiac and spirituality. It's really amazing how the spiritual seek always manages to connect these ancient astrological concepts to our modern lives.
I know. Right. It's like they have this uncanny ability to translate the language of the stars, into something we can actually use to understand ourselves better. And in this article, they don't just leave us hanging with these personality insights. They actually give us some really practical advice on how to cultivate a spiritual practice that aligns with our zodiac sign's energy.
Right. It's like they've given us a cosmic toolkit,
Yeah.
customized for each element. So for those of us who are just, starting to explore their spiritual side, it's a great place to begin.
Okay, I'm ready to open up this toolkit. Let's start with fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. What kind of practices can help them, as the article puts it, ignite their inner fire.
Well, remember, fire is all about action, energy, passion. So for fire signs, their spiritual practice should reflect that. It's not about, sitting quietly and contemplating the universe. It's about embodying that fiery energy, expressing it outwardly.
Okay, so what does that actually look like in practice? Give us some specifics.
Well, they might be drawn to, more dynamic forms of yoga, like Ashtanga or Vinyasa, which involve flowing movements and challenging poses. Or maybe they'd find a sense of connection through martial arts, which combines physical discipline with a focus on, like, channeling energy.
It's like they're taking that fire within and
Yeah.
turning it into a force for creation, for movement, for transformation.
Exactly. And even something as simple as, lighting a candle can be a really powerful ritual for a fire sign. It's a way to, to focus their intention, to connect with that element of fire, to symbolize the burning away of old patterns and the emergence of something new.
So it's about finding those practices that really resonate with their core energy, that allow them to express themselves fully and authentically.
Okay, that makes total sense. What about water signs? Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces? What kind of practices can help them dive into those emotional depths and, connect with their intuition? Well, water signs are all about feeling, flowing, connecting with those, like, unseen realms, So for them, it's less about outward expression and more about going inward, exploring those deep emotional currents that run beneath the surface.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What kind of practices would support that kind of inner exploration?
Well, being near water can be incredibly soothing and grounding for them. Taking a bath, swimming in the ocean, even just sitting by a lake or river can help them to tap into their intuition and connect with their emotions in this, safe and gentle way.
I can see how that would work. It's like the water itself is a reflection of their inner world. Always shifting, always changing, yet somehow always connected.
Exactly. And journaling can also be a powerful tool for water signs. It allows them to, like, express their emotions, process their experiences, and to gain clarity on their, intuitive insights. They might also find practices like dream journaling or automatic writing helpful for, like, accessing their subconscious mind and tapping into those deeper levels of awareness.
So it's about finding ways to give voice to those emotions, to honor those intuitive nudges, trust the wisdom that's coming from within. Okay, I'm loving this. What about air signs? Gemini, Libra, Aquarius? What kind of practices can help them, elevate their minds and connect with that intellectual curiosity?
Well, air signs are all about ideas, communication, expanding their mental horizons. So for them, a spiritual practice might look more like a quest for knowledge, a search for meaning and understanding.
So it's less about feeling and more about thinking.
It's not that they don't have emotions, it's just that their approach to spirituality is often filtered through their intellect. They need to, make sense of things, to see the bigger picture, to connect the dots.
Okay, I'm starting to see how that might translate to specific practices. What are some examples?
Well, they might find a lot of value in, practices like meditation, but maybe not the silent, still kind. They might be more drawn to guided meditations that focus on, like, visualization or affirmations, where they can use their minds to create a desired outcome or shift their perspective.
I can see that. It's like they're using their thoughts as a tool for transformation,
Yeah.
for creating a reality that aligns with, their values and beliefs.
Exactly. And they might also find fulfillment in practices that involve, communication and the exchange of ideas, like joining a book club, attending philosophical lectures, or even just having, deep conversations with like-minded people can be incredibly stimulating and enriching for them.
It's like they're feeding their minds and their souls at the same time. Okay, I love that. Finally, let's talk about earth signs. Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. What kind of practices can help them ground themselves in nature and connect with that, practicality?
Well, earth signs are all about stability, grounding, connection to the physical world. So for them, spiritual practice is often about finding that sense of peace and harmony in the here and now.
So nature is definitely their sanctuary, right?
Oh, absolutely. Spending time in nature, gardening, hiking, walking barefoot on the grass. These are all ways for them to, reconnect with their roots, to feel the earth beneath their feet, to tap into that sense of stillness and serenity that the natural world offers.
It's like that energy is literally being recharged by the earth itself.
That's beautiful. What about other practices? Are there any rituals or techniques that might, resonate with their practical nature?
Well, they might find a lot of satisfaction in practices like Feng Shui which is all about creating a, harmonious and balanced environment.
Right.
Or they might enjoy creating rituals around things like, cooking or cleaning, finding a sense of the sacred in those everyday tasks.
It's almost like they're finding spirituality in the mundane and the
Yeah.
simple act of caring for themselves and their surroundings.
Exactly. And because they're so grounded and practical, they often have a knack for manifestation. They understand that it's not just about, wishing for something. It's about taking concrete steps to make it happen. So it's like their spiritual practice is also about creating a life that feels aligned with their values, their goals, their sense of purpose.
Precisely. And when they do that, they often find that the universe conspires to support them in, achieving their dreams.
This is also fascinating. I'm starting to see how understanding our like elemental energy can really help us tailor our spiritual practice to our individual needs and inclinations.
And remember, these are just suggestions. The beauty of spirituality is that there's no one right way to do it. It's about finding what works for you, what resonates with your soul, what helps you to connect with that, something bigger than yourself.
I love that. It's about giving ourselves permission to experiment, to explore, to find our own unique path. But the spiritual seek didn't just give us general advice for each element. They also delved into some specific insights for those top 3 most spiritual signs. And I'm really curious to hear what they have to say, especially about using crystals and manifestation techniques.
Oh, me too. That's where things get really interesting. Because it's like we're getting this personalized cosmic guidance, tailored to our specific astrological blueprint.
All right, I'm ready for more cosmic wisdom. Let's dive into part 3 and uncover those personalized insights. Okay, so we're back, ready to unlock even more spiritual insights with this incredible article from the Spiritual Seek. We've talked about how the elements, shape our spiritual approach. We've explored some general practices. But now let's get personal. The article dives into specific techniques for those top 3 most spiritual signs. And it starts with crystals. I've always been fascinated by crystals, but hey, I've never really known how to incorporate them into my practice. So what's the deal with their connection to, our zodiac signs?
It is fascinating, isn't it? Crystals have been used for centuries in all sorts of spiritual traditions, and each one vibrates at a unique frequency. So the idea is that those vibrations can, interact with our own energy fields and enhance our spiritual practices. The Spiritual Seek suggests that certain crystals can actually amplify the natural energy of your zodiac sign. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
giving your spiritual practice a boost.
Okay, I'm definitely feeling that boost already. So what are some of the crystals they recommend? I'm especially curious about what they have to say about Pisces. I mean, come on, we're the mystical dreamers. We've got to have some cool crystals. Right?
Oh, they definitely do. For Pisces, they recommend amethyst. It's known for its calming energy, promoting peace and intuition, perfect for those deep dives into the subconscious that, Pisces love.
I've actually heard that amethyst is great for sleep and vivid dreams. Given our connection to the dream world, that makes perfect sense. What about Scorpio, though? What crystals can help them, navigate that intensity?
For Scorpios, the Spiritual Seek suggests obsidian. It's a powerful grounding stone, known for its protective qualities and its ability to, help process those difficult emotions. Perfect for those, shadow work journeys that Scorpios often find themselves on.
Makes sense. Obsidian has that deep black color. Feels very Scorpio, like it can absorb any negativity.
Yeah.
All right, so what about us nurturing Cancers? What can we use to, amplify our intuition and caring energy?
For Cancers, moonstone is the go-to. It's linked to the moon, which, rules Cancer. And it's said to enhance emotional balance, intuition, and those, nurturing vibes that Cancers are known for.
I actually have a moonstone necklace that I wear all the time, and I always feel so calm and centered when I have it on. Okay, so we've got our crystals, but how do we actually use them? Do you just carry them around, or is there a specific way to work with them?
There are a few different approaches. You can carry them in your pocket, meditate with them. You can even place them around your home to create a, specific energy. The article also mentions creating crystal grids, which is basically arranging them in specific geometric patterns to, for a targeted intention.
Ooh, crystal grids. That sounds really powerful. I'm definitely going to look into that. But besides crystals, the Spiritual Seek also talks about manifestation techniques as a way to, tap into our zodiac's power. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. Manifestation is all about using our thoughts, feelings, and actions to create our desired reality. And while anyone can manifest, certain techniques might resonate more strongly with different, zodiac signs.
Okay, that's interesting. So how would, a Pisces approach manifestation differently from, say, A Capricorn.
Well, a Pisces, with their dreamy and intuitive nature, they might benefit from visualization techniques that involve, like, connecting really deeply with their emotions. So imagine a Pisces creating a vision board filled with images that evoke those feelings of peace, creativity, spiritual connection.
I can totally see that. It's almost like they're, weaving a spell with their imagination. What about a Capricorn, though?
Ah,
They're so practical and goal-oriented.
mhm.
How would they approach manifestation?
For Capricorns, it's all about taking those concrete steps towards their goals. They might create like a detailed plan with actionable steps, visualize themselves achieving those goals, and use affirmations that, reinforce their determination and belief in themselves.
So less about dreaming and more about doing.
It's not that they don't dream, but they understand that dreams without action are just that, dreams. They're all about turning those dreams into reality through, focused effort and unwavering commitment.
It's like they're channeling that earth energy into like building a solid foundation for their desires to manifest. Okay, I'm starting to see how powerful this can be.
Yeah.
We're not just using like
Yeah.
generic manifestation techniques. We're actually tailoring them to our zodiac's energy. It's
Yeah.
like having a personalized cosmic guide.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that you can combine these techniques. You might use crystals to amplify your energy during visualization, or create a crystal grid while setting your intentions. It's all about finding what feels right for you, what helps you to connect with, your own unique spiritual power.
Wow, this has been such an enlightening deep dive. We've learned so much about the connection between, the zodiac and spirituality, from understanding our elemental energy to incorporating crystals and manifestation techniques. What a fantastic way to, approach our spiritual practice with more intention and awareness.
Absolutely. And remember, this is just the beginning. The spiritual seek has opened up, a whole world of possibilities for us to explore. The most important thing is to stay curious, to trust your intuition, and to keep seeking those practices that, light you up from the inside out.
Beautifully said. So, to all of you cosmic explorers out there, whether you're a mystical dreamer, an intense transformer, or a nurturing intuitive, remember that you have the power to create a spiritual practice that truly reflects who you are. Embrace your cosmic connection and keep shining your light.